What if what you've learned as straightforwardness in people is actually just boundary violations as a result of a lack of healthy boundaries? At any point in your life, have you ever been told by somebody that they're just straightforward, or somebody else was referred to as just straightforward? I know I have, many times throughout my life. And previously, the way that I used to approach it was actually taking what the other person was saying personally. So imagine somebody is to say, "Oh, that's just the way that I am. I'm just straightforward," right? And maybe they called you a name, a derogatory term, whatever it is, right? Maybe they were insulting, right? But the reality of the matter is that they're just straightforward. Let's look at this and see it exactly for what it is rather than the distraction that a lot of people utilize. All right. So, first and foremost, straightforwardness is not what you think it is. It's not what you've even been potentially gaslighted to believe that it is, right? But let's look at the other part too. Whenever someone says, "Oh, I'm just straightforward," "Oh, I don't have a filter," well, yeah, they don't. But the filter that they're referring to is a lack of healthy boundaries. Somebody being straightforward doesn't mean that they're just straightforward. It means that they lack healthy boundaries and they give you their shit. That's the reality of what's actually going on here when someone says that they are just straightforward. It's not that they're just straightforward and they just say what's on their mind because they lack a filter. It is actually that they violate boundaries because they lack healthy boundaries. And that healthy boundary that they lack is the lack of filter that they're talking about. So, this excuse that they're just being straightforward and that's just the way that they are, what they're really saying is, "Oh, I just lack healthy boundaries and I lack the ability to keep my stuff to myself." And instead of that, just giving it to you. A lot of people have learned that some people are just straightforward. It's bullshit. And a lot of people have also learned to take seriously what other people say when those people are being just straightforward. It's bullshit. Straightforwardness is boundary violations. It is a lack of healthy boundaries. People are not straightforward. People lack healthy boundaries, and they utilize other people as emotional punching bags to caretake their own emotional turmoil. This needs to be understood because if you don't see it for what it is, you're going to confuse it for what it's not. And one of the most important parts of healing in and of itself is not only doing the opposite of what you previously did, but it's also seeing everything for what it is, exactly what it is. And seeing straightforwardness exactly for what it is exceedingly important here because instead of living your life just believing that people are straightforward and they say what's on their mind or they say what it is, and then them saying something like, "Oh, you're stupid," or "You're an idiot," or "You're this," or "You're that," you're going to end up carrying that around with you if you don't see it for what it is. And that's why it's important to see it for what it is, because if you do see it for what it is, you'll actually be able to see, "Oh, wait a second, you're not straightforward. You just lack healthy boundaries and you project your shit onto other people." Yeah, you're right. You don't have a filter. You do not have healthy boundaries. Whenever someone says, "I have no filter," what they're saying is, "I don't have healthy boundaries." Because the boundary is the filter to which things are, uh, put out and let in. And people that lack a filter, people that have no filter, people that lack healthy boundaries, let all of their shit out and they put it onto other people. So, straightforwardness is not what you think it is. It's not that people are just exceptional and they're smart and they can say whatever they want to. Straightforwardness is a lack of healthy boundaries. Straightforwardness is boundary violations. When you see it for what it is and you actually understand that people don't just, I mean, people can say whatever they want to you or to anybody else. It doesn't mean that it's not boundary violating. But being able to see it for what it is the important part here. So maybe throughout your entire life, you've been told by other people things that weren't decent, that weren't kind, and the excuse was that they're just straightforward, right? That they don't have a filter. Well, one of those things is pretty much true, and that is that they don't have a filter, which basically means that they lack healthy boundaries. Now, to take it a step further, learning this, you can see it for what it is, and when this happens in the future, you can understand, oh, wait a second, there's that thing again. That person saying that they're just straightforward or that they don't have a filter. But what you can do this time around is not personalize it, is not see it and be like, oh, I guess I just deserve to be treated this way. People are just showing you how they feel about themselves. Whenever somebody is straightforward and they call you stupid or they call you an idiot, they're just telling you how they feel about themselves. Why? Again, because they lack healthy boundaries. Whatever they're telling you is their shit and not yours. If someone calls you stupid, it doesn't have anything to do with you and everything to do with them. Because they're just straightforward. No, really. Because they lack healthy boundaries. Because they have no filter, as they've told you. And understanding this can really transform how you see everything, how you approach it, how you even respond to it. You can, if you want to, be like, no, actually, you're not straightforward. You're just projecting. Because, yeah, you're right, you don't have a filter. You don't have healthy boundaries. Or you could not waste your time anymore and just get away from that person because that person is clearly not a healthy individual. But imagine all of these years that you have been led to believe that people are just straightforward, that people are just without a filter, and they somehow know what they're talking about. And everyone else has validated that, and everyone else has allowed that to be a reinforcement that that is the reality. That looks like gaslighting to me. I don't know what else it would be. So imagine an entire life that you've lived like that, learning to believe that, yeah, people are just straightforward. People just say what's on their mind, and that's the reality of it, and there's nothing that can be done about it. And maybe I am just an idiot. Maybe I am just stupid, and people know exactly what they're talking about. No. Straightforwardness is a lack of healthy boundaries. Straightforwardness is projections. Straightforwardness is somebody else giving you their shit because you don't know any better and because they lack healthy boundaries. So, this is why it's important to see this and everything else for what it is. Because if you don't see this for what it is and you just continue to utilize the excuse that, oh, that person is just straightforward, that person has no filter, and that's just the way that they are, and maybe I am stupid, maybe I am an idiot, and maybe they know what they're talking about. Nope. See it for what it is. And you can choose to or not to engage with that person. But quite honestly, they're not healthy. And they're utilizing an excuse to continue to be able to abuse you. Because straightforwardness, which is actually lack of healthy boundaries, which is boundary violations, is abusive. Violating somebody's boundaries is abusive. Period. There is no other way around it. That's just the way that it is. So, seeing it for what it is, choosing to not engage because somebody that does not have healthy boundaries is not a healthy individual. Doesn't mean they're a bad person. Doesn't mean they're in the wrong. It just means they're not healthy. But the most important thing is seeing it for what it is and not what everyone else validates it for, or reinforces it for, or even gaslights it for. Oh, he means well, he's just straightforward. No. And quite honestly, I don't think that he does or she does mean well. Especially if they're calling you stupid. What the fuck is that? It's important to not allow yourself to be gaslighted. It's important to allow yourself to see everything for what it is. Somebody that is straightforward is not better than you. They don't know more things than you. They don't know you better than yourself. whatever it is that they call you in the derogatory context is a projection of how they feel about themselves.